Hi everyone, this is interview number 8. Just loving it, and the feedback's so great that we're just going to keep these going, and we'll start to add some variety. But everyone that we speak to is unique and has got a great story and has had a great career so far. Whether we call them careers or just fun for someone who's so young, our guest today is Henry Dietze, almost 18 years old, already an Australian champion in junior ranks, overcome some really major injuries, I've got to say, and it's come through with flying colours. I've watched this from a distance, and I've watched a young man who's been able to overcome adversity with a very positive attitude. And I'm actually looking forward to finding out more about it myself, because not a lot of people get to know exactly how someone feels. So hopefully Henry's going to be open about it today and share some of his experiences in that regard. Kid's got a lot of ambition and drive, and well-rounded and well-grounded, from a great family, great supporters of our club. Henry, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Ag. Yeah, it's great to be here. I've been watching all your other videos with the other guys, and yeah, it's great stuff.
Well, hopefully they haven't put you to sleep, because I've certainly enjoyed them. But I know this one's going to be a great one, just like all the others. And I have mentioned it on one of the other interviews that there really is no order. So it's just a matter of when people are available and my own availability. But it's great, and I love it that other clubs are also doing the same thing, whether it's in a Q&A style or this sort of thing. Why not? And we're in the Zoom era, so let's do it properly, and that's what I love about it. With all the other interviews, we kind of get into cycling quickly. You're a pretty diverse young man, and you've got a few interests outside of cycling, which I think is terrific, by the way. Some of those interests are photography. You love fashion and design. You even bought yourself a sewing machine. Now, first of my photos here is actually going to show this picture of Henry with a sewing machine, which is quite an incredible photo, actually. And I will find it. Well, there's one of you with your camera. Do you want to just talk about the photography interest while I find the one with the sewing machine?
So I've really just loved photography for quite a long time, and a couple of my friends had recently started doing some film photography, and I thought may as well give it a go. Some good fun. Like, I'd been out on days in the city with them taking photos. So went on Gumtree, found some film camera for like $80, and just the rest is history, really. Just been having fun with it.
Does it still work?
Still does, still works. Perfect condition.
You got a bargain. So any favourite photos? Is there a type of photography that you like, or is it just random and you're still working out what your strength is there?
I don't know. I'm kind of trying to still work out what I'm doing. I really like landscapes that show quite a bit of contrast in whatever it is. It can be just like color, lighting, or just like nature against, I guess, geometric shapes of like buildings in the city with the trees around it. But then also just like my friends, really.
Random shots are good. So photography is very artistic, and obviously so is something like sewing and creating clothes. This is fascinating, because I never knew this, and you went out and bought this sewing machine just before the lockdown, and you've already made some clothes. Like what?
So I made a pair of shorts as the first thing I made. I thought may as well just go hard from the start, but managed to work that out. Bit of a bodge. Some bits are a bit dodgy on it, but and then I went on and made a hoodie. I actually I don't know, I was thinking about it, and I was like, hoodies are never warm enough or soft enough. So I just went on Kmart's website, bought a blanket from Kmart, and then made a hoodie out of the blanket. And yeah, it's great.
Well, maybe, just thinking out loud here, we have a Brunswick hoodie. Maybe we can get you to design our next one.
I'd be open to that, I reckon.
Well, I'll put you on the spot. You kind of have to now, don't you? There's a couple of thousand people are going to watch this, so everyone will hold you to it.
Yeah.
But you did some work experience with clothing design company, one we all know, the Hunter Brothers.
Yeah, so I did the I didn't actually do it with Hunter Brothers. I did it with so Hal Hunter's dad, James Hunter, right? So he works for Dries a Bone. So that's the company that makes those really nice high quality jackets.
Yep.
That have the wax, so they're completely waterproof. And I'm actually I got work experience a week with them in year 10, and that was really cool. I worked through lots of different areas of the company. So I did like a day in their actual designing of it. I did a day where I went into a meeting where they were talking about where they want to go with the brand, and how they want to progress that. And then I also did a day in like customer service. So I was just helping out, doing odd jobs pretty much. But yeah, it was good fun. But yeah, I got the contact through Hal.
Okay. Now, well, work experience is great because when you go for one thing, which is the design, but you get to see other parts of the business, it gets you thinking about what it's like to run a business and what it would be like to think about the future and handle inquiries, etc. That must have been a great experience. And has that fueled your passion for doing more of this sort of thing? And maybe that's an additional string to your bow where you might look at that as another career opportunity.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
I always really liked this area of just creativity, really. But it doesn't hurt.
Well, you've done visual communication as a visual communication design as a VCE subject, and you're doing VCE this year. But when you were with another team, you designed their kit, or you helped design their kit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I was sponsored by Bodie Cycling, the over in Belgium, actually, with the Belgian side of it all. And I talked to them and I was saying, hey, look, I really like designing stuff. What do you think of the chance of me being able to design my own kit? And they were like, you know what? Love the idea. Go for it. And they sent me the pattern, and I just got to designing, really. And then, I send them my ideas and then they say, oh, we don't really like this one, but this idea is cool. And they give me a couple other ideas springing from that. And then I go and find my favorite one of that, edit that a little bit, send it back. And then they give me a couple options and I'm like, yeah, I like that one. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they could be so open and have a two-way relationship like that and really value your input must be great.
It was really nice.
At your age.
Nice.
Sorry, mate. What was that?
Yeah, it was really nice to have that at that age because no one else would really give you that opportunity. And I guess that's where, if I didn't ask for it, it would have never happened. So yeah.
I agree. What I was going to say is along those lines where, at such a young age, you've had work experience and been able to sit inside a meeting where a company is talking about where it wants to take a brand. And then you have this experience where your input is valued to the point where they're coming back with suggestions on how you can change things and then accepting your new ideas. And whether it's the finished product or not, the fact that that was a two-way conversation, I think is great. Very fortunate, but clearly you set that up as well by being a very approachable person and somebody who respected the opportunity that you had. So congratulations on that, and congratulations on this too, because in the time that you've been locked up, so to speak, you've redesigned your own desk, the top of your desk.
Yeah.
Can you explain what this is, please?
Yeah, so I was just getting a bit bored, really. And so it all started off with the BoJack Horseman drawing, which is, the horse, with the glasses on. And I think I was doing the good old just procrastinating, doing homework or something like that. And then I just started drawing and I was like, hey, this is kind of good. And then I just started looking up, I guess, characters from TV shows that I really like. And then I just went from there. So, and then there's also the Blinky Bill, because Australian icon. um, but yes, there's the whole family from Bob's Burgers. There's Astro Boy. There's Archer. There's Lucy from Disenchantment, and there's Mabel and Dipper on the side from Gravity Falls.
Wow. So can I ask, when you do something like that, clearly you have to plan, right? You have to sketch it out. You got the idea in mind, or do things come along the way and you have to kind of make alterations? I'm just curious.
They kind of just came along the way. Like I just did BoJack Horseman first, and I had no idea I was going to do any more. And then, the next day comes around, I'm like, oh, may as well give it another shot on a different one. Just start sketching. Oh, that doesn't look too good. Maybe rub that out. Get rid of that. Because I did it first with Graylay pencil to get the outline sketch, make sure it all looks good before I go with the permanent marker. But yeah, I didn't really do them in the right order. If I could do them again, I probably would do it in a different order, because you see how Astro Boy on the side kind of cuts into the whole family. But I just worked around it. But yeah, it was just something fun to do when I'm bored, really.
One day that'll be in a museum somewhere, and there'll be some liner notes saying that this wasn't meant to be what it was, but that's why it's unique. But I just came up with another idea, Henry. I'm really throwing you into it now. So as you would know, we're missing the Brunswick sign, the Brunswick word on the velodrome since we had it resurfaced. Yeah. We've been looking for an artist, and we've had 2 or 3, and they've fallen through. They've either wanted too much money, or they haven't realised the job. We don't think it's that hard, but we're pretty simplistic. We look at it and go, it can't be that hard. Geez, I'll tell you what, you might be able to do it.
I don't know. That's a tough job. That's a very tough job.
Think about it. You don't have to make a decision right now on that one. That's okay. Let's wrap up this part of it. Really fascinating. Obviously, we're getting an idea of what your interests are and your talents. So you are doing VCE, as I mentioned. You are a mature person in that you've had some opinions about this year. Obviously, it's a very difficult year, unique in many, many respects. But we've got some good news that the exams are kind of on par with previous years, still a delay, but that must be an enormous relief for you.
Yeah, it's so good to have them moved. So they've been moved to, I think it was the 10th of November they're starting, and they're finishing on the 2nd of December, which they were saying that it might even go into next year. So for it to be pulled back to there, and that's official, it's such a relief. Yeah.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, what are your subjects, and what are you looking forward to doing next year?
So I'm doing just English, maths methods, further maths, and geography. So I did visual communication design last year, and PE as well. So I did those 2 last year. They were, I guess, one of my 2 fun subjects. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm getting pretty good marks. So yeah, it's all right. For next year, I'm wanting to defer next year. I'm wanting to get into. I'm not really sure what I want to get into really. But yeah, I know that I want to defer, have a year to just sort out what I'm doing, and then go from there, really.
Take your time, mate. Most people would have probably told you that, but just take your time. Deferring is a good idea, especially after the year that we've had, and we'll get into your cycling a bit later or soon. There's a lot of disruption, so taking a year off is not going to hurt anyone. Probably be great, refreshing, and hopefully next year is a bit more back to normal anyway. So get into sport. Before we get into cycling, I know that you've been interested in other sports, so you've done a bit of triathlon, and I also remember when I first met you, you were a reasonably passionate Hawthorn supporter, or that could have just been your dad who was saying that. And of course, it was very easy to be a passionate Hawthorn supporter. a few years ago because you were the best team in the competition. That mantle's now been handed over to my team, of course. And my team did beat your team even when they were the best, but we'll leave that one alone. But did you play footy or, I know about the triathlon. What other sports did you do? Not before, but even at the same time as when you got into cycling?
Yeah, so I always played footy when I was younger. Footy was my favourite sport. So I did Auskick like pretty much every other kid. But then I played in the EDFL for the local club, just like a K down the road. Played for Moonee Valley for, I think, 3 or 4 years. I could be wrong. 3 of them minimum, I'll say. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Loved footy. Was a big Hawthorn supporter.
What do you mean was? You must still be, yeah? Or just not as much?
Yeah, like, yes, but I guess, cycling's taken over a bit, still like big supporter, but I guess I follow footy a bit less than I used to, but, oh well.
That's natural. Yeah. Any other sports? Or footy was the main one?
So footy was the main one. I did swimming as well, as pretty much every Australian kid did when they were younger.
Rite of passage.
Yeah, so I wasn't great, but I wasn't terrible. If in the school competitions, sometimes you get through to like the round before state. I remember in year 6, we got to state in, I think it was the medley relay. But yeah, so, loved the footy, liked the swimming. And I also did, I also did quite a bit of mountain bike riding with Dad when I was younger. Really.
Okay.
Like that was where it started with cycling, I think. Like we used to go out to we go up to like the Otways and do some mountain bike riding up there. We go to up near Macedon, the Yangs. I don't even remember anymore, but yeah, that was always great fun.
Well, mountain biking is now mountain biking and road cycling are so linked. I think Trekkie winning the Warney last year, and so many other mountain bikers doing well on the road, and vice versa with CX, etc. It's there's a lot of crossover in those two sports. With cycling, let's talk about this. This is a photo from way back, Metro's 2014. Cam McFarlane actually sent it to me the other day. We exchange photos every now and then of they're cute photos, I guess. Like, we look at it and there's some riders there that are no longer riding that we're still in touch with, and that happens as well. But you've got some pretty illustrious company in that photo. Plappy, Graham, Sarah, Boffy. Angus is still riding, doing a lot of Ks in the Brunswick Strava group. Angus is always in the top 3, he and Oscar Moore. You keep in touch with those guys? A lot of those in that photo?
Yeah, still keep in touch with, so there's James as well. So best friends with James, have been since we pretty much met each other when we were like 10 years old. But yeah, still keep in touch with, I guess, all those people that still ride, I guess.
That's good.
Yeah,
and James has had a couple of injuries as well, so you've been able to be a support to him.
Sorry, who was that?
James Anthony. He's had some injuries as well, and you've been able to counsel him and give him some advice.
Yeah. I don't know. James and I we just help each other out a lot of the time. We train together quite a lot. If one of us is slacking, the other one will let the other one know. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we're all happy the Anthonys are back from the UK as well. It's been a couple of years, maybe not even, but it seems like ages ago now. When I showed Ava that photo, we almost forgot Ava was that small once too. But everyone's grown up, and it's you've got the Giramondo kit on there too. They were one of your sponsors as well, Giramondo Sportswear.
Yeah, the first sponsor.
There you go. Well, we'll remember that. So with cycling, you came up. That photo there is symbolic of young people on the bike, and that was the team spirit that junior sport really should bring to the table. You started at the clinic. You started at Brunswick. What's the story there? How old were you? What's your first memory of the track? Was it the junior clinic? What was it that got you to Brunswick?
Yeah, so with how I was saying, I used to ride my dad on the mountain bike quite a bit. So basically, dad did his hip and his back in like the same year, I think. Or for whatever reason, I was some 10-year-old who couldn't ride with my dad anymore, and I was getting annoyed about that. And Mum found an ad for the junior clinic in the newspaper, like
Wow.
a couple of days after I'd been complaining to it. And then she showed me that, and I was like, Mum, we're going. It's happening. So then we went down to junior clinic, loved it from the start, won the 3 races. So winning from the start, ended up, but with the cliche, I guess, of first time on a track bike, stopped pedaling. So I won my 3 races, and then after the end of my 3rd race, stopped pedaling, went over the handlebars and got like a concussion, I think. But I remember Mum was like, Henry, you don't need to come back. You don't need to come back. It's okay. And I was like, Mum, I'm coming back. Like, I don't really care. If you try and stop me, I want to come back. I love it too much.
And what was the thrill? Was the fact that you're on this track bike, you don't stop pedaling, you suddenly can go really fast, because Brunswick's like that. You get on the back straight and you're flying.
Yeah.
Was that an adrenaline rush that you really felt from a young age, and you just went, I want more of this?
Yeah, 100%. And it was just, it's just great to be able to, I guess the feeling of racing is always great. And then racing with your friends is even better. And just like, yeah, that adrenaline pumping it's really there's nothing like it.
And I believe that this podium shot shows you winning a triathlon in year 8, and you chose this as a summer sport. And you surprised everybody in this race apparently, and you won. But it was the cycling leg that you smashed everybody in. So I guess once you've had that feeling like you had in the junior clinic, and you ride for a few years, you experience what you do at the metros, then you go in something like this, and clearly your strength is cycling. That kind of cements it, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I remember that. I came out of the water like 15th or something, and then got to the transition, and I was struggling to get my shoes on for so long because my feet were numb, my hands were numb, the water was cold. But then got on the bike and then came back in, and I was about 10 minutes in front of everyone else, I think. And I could pretty much just jog the run, and I was sweet.
Yeah, well, it's a very hard event, triathlon, right? So if you can nail the bike leg, which is, in Ironman, the longest leg, and then if you can have minutes up your sleeve when you've got to do a marathon to finish, it's pretty important to have strong bike skills. But yeah, those athletes are incredible, and but having established that as a cyclist, you then concentrate on cycling. You're hit with, well, let's be honest, pretty bad injury. At the time when you got injured, I was surprised at how well you received it outwardly, but certainly inwardly, it must have been a real challenging time for you. And now's a great time to talk about it, if you don't mind. You had an injury which has an acronym of OCD, which we'll call the other OCD, but it's osteochondrosis dissecans. I don't know if I got that right. Most people will know what it is. You had surgery on both femurs. Do you want to just explain what happened and that process?
Yeah, so basically the rundown of what I had. So it's like a developmental issue, where basically you lose sections of bone. So on the femur, how it has the 2 balls joints that go into the knee. So this section just had almost like just a dip in it, really, where there was just missing bone. going into the knee joint, and I had that on both sides, which is to have OCD in general is really rare, but to have it in both knees is so rare that is one of the things that they test for. Because I only first knew that I had it on my right knee. So they did scans of that, and they said, okay, it could be this. We'll take a scan of your left knee to check. If it's there on your left knee, it's probably just you being like a variation of normal. But no, it just turned out I had it on both legs, which, yeah, it wasn't the best thing to hear, but not much I could do about it. So the surgery, they drill in from behind, and they do, I think they did 20 holes leading into the area where I was missing bone on my right and 15 on my left. And basically that's because like the body doesn't realize that you have a broken bone or don't have bone missing. So they go in there, break the bone basically, and then the body realizes that and they have to go and fix it, and then it fills the hole of the bone. But yeah, so that was I had the surgery on my right leg first, and then I had 6 weeks where I couldn't bend my knee and I couldn't weight bear. So 6 weeks on crutches or in a wheelchair, and I couldn't have my foot touch the ground. And then it was 6 weeks where I was partially weight bearing, gradually building up strength, and then straight onto the other leg. And some people say that, they question me, like, why didn't you get both legs done at the same time? And the thing is, if I was to get both done at the same time, the process of being able to build up the strength again would have been so much longer, because I couldn't rely on my other strong leg really to do most of the heavy lifting. So if I had both lose all their muscle mass, pretty much, I lost so much muscle mass on my legs throughout that time. If I had have gotten them both done at the same time, it would have been much harder.
Yeah, I can imagine it would have been impossible. You would have lost too much, and you have to then stagger it like you did. But I had no idea about the number of holes that had to be drilled. Just the whole process, and the fact that, just let's make it clear, it was not a cycling-induced injury, was it? It was just something that was rare that just happened to you.
Yeah, it was weird. It's one of those things where they couldn't tell us how it was caused, but they could guarantee us that it wasn't caused by cycling, because it had to be from impact. And there's no impact in cycling.
Yeah.
So we were saying, what do I do to not get it again? And then they basically said, well, no one's ever gotten it again. So the chance of that is so slim. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, so not cycling caused.
So there's a photo of you with your sister and Ruby, your dog.
Yep.
Who you love, and obviously you love your sister too. But that photo there is it at the time could have been quite depressing, but you look back now with a sense of pride that, that's a pretty major injury and 8 months of disruption that you had to overcome. How do you look at a photo like that? Is it that? Is it pride? Is it relief and please never let it happen again?
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of everything really. I'm proud I could get through it and get through it well. Yeah, and then I look back at that, and that period of time was it was the hardest thing I'd ever had to go through. But the one thing that really kept me going was I just wanted to get back on the bike. That was the one thing. So I was not going to take any shortcuts. I was going to make sure that this was absolutely done perfectly. My rehab was going to be done absolutely perfectly, so that I could get on the bike. It was the only thing I really wanted to do. I remember that there were some times where I would go down to watch Tuesday night racing and just help out, um, just because that was something I could do to still be a part of the cycling.
Yeah, you were there. You were
Um,
helping out at the desk, and
yeah, I was doing the laps. Um, but yeah, it was. I look back at that and I'm just proud to have gotten through that. Really, yeah.
just on the laps, did you ever give anyone an extra lap, or was
No,
it always
I was pretty
something?
good. I was pretty good with it.
So, on the injury, it teaches you a lot, and obviously, you know, the word resilience comes to mind. But there's also learnings, right? When you do rehab, I've had a knee reconstruction of both knees are knackered, and I've gone through rehab quite a few times on knees, and it does teach you something. It teaches you something about yourself. And you were saying before that you you, you were told by the doctors that it wasn't something that just was you, and then you could work around it. There had to be an operation to fix it, and it did. But there must have been something you took out of it, whilst being frustrated, some things that you worked on, uh, flexibility, etc. Is there anything that you actually concentrated on that you wouldn't have otherwise done?
Yeah. So in that period, as you would imagine, I got really bored not being able to do anything. So I did focus on stretching quite a bit. I actually had a sit and reach of 28 centimeters at the end of that. So I could go 28 centimeters past my toes, um, which is crazy. I can't get anywhere near that now, but you wouldn't expect to be able to unless you were doing hours of stretching a day. Um, but yeah, so I focused on stretching quite a bit because it was the only thing I could really do to keep my body in check. Um, apart from using my crutches, I did also. I taught myself to walk with the crutches without my feet touching the ground. That was fun. So just like using the arms to just pull those ones. That was a good challenge. But yeah.
So the stretching. Do you think that helped you come back as quickly as you did? Because it was a really remarkable recovery in many respects. Everyone knew that there was going to be a certain amount of time that you were out. We all got that, but you actually got back in quicker than what some of us thought. Back into a groove. Do you think what you did in rehab set you up for that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it would have been the physical, but also the mental. Um, because throughout that period, like I was working on my body to just make it that I was at there was nothing that I wasn't doing to help myself.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that I could have done better to prepare myself to recover from the period of time where I was able to. Um, and then also just the mental drive at that time was insane. Like I've never really had anything like it.
Really. So
So
just like a real positive focus
yeah,
to, yeah, yeah. So the a person like you seems to have plans, goals, make sure that you've got things, organised. Coaching. You've had some coaches all play a part in your life. This is a photo that you
yeah,
supplied, actually. Very young Henry Dietze and a younger Vanessa Boff. Do you want to just talk about your time with your coaches? This isn't about Vanessa. The photo is of her and you, but your coaches have had a big influence on your cycling.
yeah. So 100%. I mean, I guess like I have so many people to thank for my progress as an athlete and just as a person that come into like a coaching and mentoring role, really. So my first coach was actually Mark Newand. Um, and he really helped me um, just develop. I mean, I look back at it and there was a lot of it that was just like, I guess it was fun oriented, but with actual training. It wasn't just the classic go ride your bike, have fun. It was do this amount of time, do it in this heart rate zone, but do it with a mate or something like that. So I used to go to his house once a week to do an ergo session. And they used to be at the same time people like James Payne. So he's not riding anymore, but he used to be coached by Mark as well. Josh Gergis was coached by him, so not riding anymore. Angus Collins would be there sometimes, as well as Macca Hastings. So that was really the start of my development with Mark. And then it got to the point where I guess I outgrew him as a coach. Like here's a young son, Mitchell, sorry, Mitchell. And you know, he was having more of the family. That was more of his priority, and I was like, okay, that's great. I need a bit more from my coach. Like I guess I knew what I needed and knew what I wanted from my coach, and that's where I moved to Vanessa from there. And Vanessa was great. She really added some more structure into my training, and I guess I really just continued to improve. Up until the point where I got into the Victorian Institute of Sport. And then we had the coaches, we had like the more coaches. So then at that stage you have Nick Owen in the sports scientist, which brings the more scientific world into it. And then Glenn O'Shea, of course, which was really, really cool for me because Glenn being as, I guess, well known and as well, like he has been to the top of the sport, won Olympic medals, he's done it all. So to be able to learn from someone who has been where you want to get to is definitely something that I'm thankful for. It's very cool. And then also gym coaches. So at the moment, I've been working with Ben Willey from the VIS. So he's our gym coach at the VIS. But then there's also, so I go to Maribyrnong Sports Academy or Maribyrnong College, and I'm part of the Maribyrnong Sports Academy. So then they have their whole gym program, all their gym coaches, of which I worked really closely and I'm still in contact with her, talk with her all the time. That is Tennille Hall. And she's great. She's helped me with just getting strength on the bike and off the bike. And I guess I would have gotten some more of my discipline from gym because, and also the environment of it being at school helped me because it brought that kind of competitiveness into it. So you're in the squat rack and the guy next to you is lifting 10 more kilos than you. You're like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can go a bit heavier. But they were always really good, and they still are really good at making sure that your form is perfect. And they focus on that for a long time, like years before you start increasing the weight properly. But yeah, and then it goes on to like Cam McFarlane. I mean, where can you get more guidance? Cam's definitely played a massive role in my life, I guess. Like with how his Saturday training sessions with the Madisons and all the technique stuff, which really, it makes such a difference, and you really notice it. And it's always so much fun, but you're also training really hard because you want to beat your friend in the Madison. um, but yeah, and then I guess with Vanessa, one thing that was um, really great about Vanessa was how long I worked with her over. So I've known Vanessa for a long time, like pretty much. I don't really remember riding without knowing Vanessa, because she's always had that role within Brunswick, or at least she's had that role since I've been riding, of just like helping out the younger kids with NJTS especially, how she takes on the coach role there. And yeah, so when I moved from Mark to her, it wasn't as if I was getting a new coach as such, because I'd already worked with her for a number of years and we already knew each other. We already knew how each other worked. So it was really like seamless, I guess. But yeah, I guess you can never really put it down to one person who has helped you develop. It's like a lot of people over a lot of time, and they all just help each other help you, I guess.
Well, everyone complements each other, and that's a great summary. I mean, people may think we rehearsed that one, but we didn't. The truth is that I knew when I was going to interview you that there was a role that many people had played, and it is the sum of all parts. I mean, if you start with Mark, I mean, the Niewon family, one of the greatest cycling families in this country, and still, actively involved in the sport in some way, shape, or form, right through to your coaches in the gym scenario that may not be cyclists but understand your body. And if you think about the greatest tennis players or any great athlete, they call it a team, right? And they have people throughout their career and they chop and change, but it doesn't mean you move on from somebody and never talk to them again. I think that's great that you can acknowledge all of them and understand the role they've played, and that will continue. That will continue, and we'll get on to your current team in a minute. I just want to finish with one photo around that the junior setting, even though you're technically still a junior because you've got a J19's race still coming up on the weekend in the virtual space, and you are J19 still. But I remember this day. I remember it because your dad broke down, and I think a lot of people remember it for that. For a parent to watch their child go through, the agony of injury and the training, and it's your parents that drive you to places, and it's your parents that make the commitment. So both your mum and dad and your sister, everyone was so excited, but you really were quite fired up after that too. And what's your memory of winning this? It was the Kieran, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was a great day. That was a great nationals, really. I mean, I think like the week started off with the team pursuit, which we broke the national record in that, and that was insane. Like that just started off the week so amazingly. And then I think with that group of guys in that, what really mattered and what really helped us is that we're all really good friends, and that we're all really good mates, and we're happy to risk it for each other. There's the mateship in that really definitely helped us. So yeah,
we could do a doco on it, Henry. I reckon that whole series. That was an electric few days, and the last day was unbelievable. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Like the one ride that I remember as the most, probably the best ride all that week was the points race. So Pat Eddy took that out, but Blake pulled the longest and the hardest turns for him to get that win. And we were all there screaming up the top, banging on the wall, and it was great. And then so then I went on to win the Kieran, which was like all I really wanted. Once I had the team pursuit gold, all I wanted was an individual gold. That was just because it really, I guess it solidifies you as one of the good riders. You know, it couldn't have been the team that helped you. It was you that did it. So yeah, that was awesome. And then to go on, and I got bronze in the scratch race, I think, and Max won that. So that was, again, just the team winning it was nothing really compares to when the whole group succeeds together, because we'd all, like, I had spent weeks up in Bendigo. Blake's training with him over the holidays. Like, we all pushed each other in the training sessions to better each other, and I guess it really showed.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I love the fact that you mentioned the team aspect. What Blake did is stuff of legend now, right? And everyone will talk about that for ages. And regardless of what you do in your careers, because you're never guaranteed, you've got that memory. And even Hiltz was so excited as a coach. Culmination of lots of hard work and many years, and he's coached many teams that have won medals, had individual glory, but there was something really special about that. It does make it more special than others, but it was just a fantastic time. And I just wanted to bring that up, because it was something that even on Blake's Facebook page, you've still got that TP photo, and
we've all got that as our background photo.
It's pretty awesome, right? It's fantastic. So
yeah,
you had this pretty good comeback from this pretty bad injury, and lots of input from a lot of people to show the maturity beyond your years. After the injury, you went to Belgium twice. The second time, as a 16-year-old, you went off on your own, mate. And what would possibly possess somebody to go off on their own into this great unknown to go and ride a bike? I mean, what were you thinking? Why did you do it?
I guess it was all I really wanted to do. I mean, Belgium, the level is, I guess, multiplied again. And just the culture over there is so cycling heavy. Like, everyone loves cycling over there. And the racing is it's such a different experience. Like, getting to race on cobbles, getting to race on just those like cliche, narrow, windy roads. And I guess it was just another opportunity for me to challenge myself, and to just see what I can do, really.
A few of us think that
it was just so much fun.
A few of us think that it was because you went on your own the second time, because all your dad did the first time was post photos of him having a beer while you were racing. And you got kind of sick of that and said, I just want to go on my own, Dad. But yeah, obviously there's something that got you back there. But were you with a team, or were you with a setup that that was part of a program? Because how many weeks did you spend there? What did you have to do to get there? And where did you live? What was the training like? How long were you there for, etc.?
Yeah. So the first time I went over, so I stayed with a group that's like American based, and they basically run a camp where the first year they had just the one adult, and there were 5 or 6 of us in a house in Iserhem, which is just some town in Belgium. But yeah, so with this camp setup, they drive you to your races. They house you. They feed you dinner every night. They supply food. So they drive you to the races. They do your bottles for feeding, and it's a great setup. It really is just great. I don't really know what else to say.
Do you think it helped you not so much grow up, but that was just another thing that just helped you understand that if you were to, go on in this sport, these are some of the things you have to learn, and to learn it at such a young age, and to be out there on your own. That was something that you was it a consequence of going that you got to learn that, or was it something that you set out to do? That's why you did it.
I think it was just something that I learnt when I was there, really. But I guess it wasn't as if I had never travelled before, thanks to NJTS, really. Like travelling with all the bikes. But yeah, I guess just that sense of more independence that you get. You just have to throw yourself in the deep end, really. But yeah, and the thing that's really cool is, so I was the only Australian. The first year there was one other Australian, a guy called Antoine, who I met, and he's from Sydney. But then last year I was the only guy. I was the only Australian. So you're in a house with just a lot of internationals, really. Like there was a South African, a British guy, an American, a Spanish guy, like the whole mix. But yeah, there's nothing like it. Just going over there, and cooking your own. Like we cooked most of our food, which I guess you just learn as you go.
What did you learn to cook that you still cook now? Anything?
Oh, well, there's a salad that Mateo, the Spanish guy, taught me, and it's just a really basic salad. Really, it's just cos lettuce, tomato, tuna, and then you cook up some mushrooms and chuck that in with like some red wine vinegar and some olive oil.
So it's fair to say that as a chef, you make a really good fashion designer.
Yeah.
So you had this you had a great win over there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if it was the only one, but certainly one that we all knew about here. This great photo. It says a lot, but there was a bit of a story in the morning of this race. You didn't feel that well?
Yeah, so that was actually the day after I'd landed in Belgium. So landed in Belgium, I wasn't really jet lagged. I don't really get that jet lagged. I don't think many people do going over. They get it coming back generally. But yeah, so we rode out to the race on the day, and I was actually cramping up on the ride there and doing a bit of recon. And I was thinking, like, should I race? Like, am I just going to screw the rest of the month if I cramp up really bad and then my muscles start spazzing, and then I don't know, I was spiraling a little bit, I guess. But then I don't know, it just clicked. Got about K in, legs felt perfect, and then just started forcing the breakaways pretty much. And that was my first win. I got 2 wins while I was over there. I think I've got a list on my phone. I did like, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did 9 races while I was over there. I got 3 wins, a second, 3 thirds, and then a 6th and a DNF.
What was
yeah,
the
so I was pretty much either right up there. I was pretty much on the podium or not finishing. The one where I didn't finish it was the equivalent of their national hill climb, and it was insane. and it was a really technical lead into the first climb where it was a European 2-lane road. So like a 1.5 lane road here, I guess. And there was heaps of road islands just on the side, alternating just these bollards here and then 10 meters forward and bollards on the right and then bollards on the left. And there's people going down the gutters in between, and then it's just hectic racing. But it was one of those races where people get called up for the start. So they're lined up from like their teams. And because I was over there not racing in an actual proper team, I was down the back to start. So I think it was like 150 people racing or something like that. And then I think I worked my way up to about 100 by the first climb. And by then it was already too late. We'd hit it. Some absolute hitters have gone off the front, and it's just stringing out. And I'm just going past all these people that are getting dropped. But I'm not actually, I might be going the same speed as the people at the front, but I'm not actually getting to the front because all these people are just dropping off the back.
Yeah.
And then I think about 10K in, we just hit another berg and they just rode away from me. I was like, okay, this is not my day. But it was on a lap. I think they did 3 or 4 laps of a circuit. So finish the lap, pull up at the cafe, watch them come through.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's the way most of us like watching bike races.
Yeah. But yeah, so that photo of that first race, so that was, what was really big about that was that, so I had won 2 races the year previous when I went over, but they were both in bunch sprints. So my big aim for like the second time that I went over was to win solo. Because there's just something about winning solo it's just like an alpha move. You just show yourself over the others. I guess there's no other way to put it really. And then to do that in my first race, I guess I'd already ticked off my big goal for the year. So I felt like the pressure was off me, so it was easier going through the other races.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach it. Get one out of the way early. You make a statement. Clearly, you were a bit nervous about putting both arms up, just in case you made a fool of yourself.
Yeah, on the cobbles, I wasn't too sure.
No, it's a great photo, one that we'll remember. So before we get into the last bit, the modern part, I just want to put this up because, I mean, not only is it you and Dad racing, but that your dad's been a great support, as I said, and he's probably not going to be doing much racing moving forward. A lot of riding, but and there's a couple of reasons why you don't race with your kids anymore. But the main one is you can't keep up with them. that's actually the main one. Just having the opportunity to race with Dad. I know if I asked him, he'd tell me it was very special. Like your memory of being able to have a few races with Dad. What's the greatest memory of that?
Greatest memory.
Apart from spanking him.
Yeah. I guess it would have been just some of those Coburg crits back when I was starting off, I guess, because I think we were both in D grade at the same time. And then, yeah, it's just cool to be able to ride with your dad, I guess at that age, you're always trying to beat your dad. Like it's like the one thing you want to do. And then he's there like, it'll never happen. I'll always be better than you. And it's just, I don't really know how to put it, but it's just like a special feeling to be able to race against your dad. Yeah.
I don't think you need to put it any other way, to be honest. I think that's exactly how you've put it is exactly how you should have. It's a great feeling and probably many emotions. But the reason why we all try and beat you in D grade, mate, is because we knew we'd have no other chance, and that because I was in some of those races too. So we'd go up to see even James Anthony and Angus Vander and riders like that. I remember, being the big boss saying, "Come along with me, and I'll show you how to race in C grade. Just sit on my wheel. We'll do this. We'll attack. Within weeks, they're in B grade, and I'm still in C
Yeah.
grade. So you don't get that much of a window to be able to do it. So it's great.
Yeah.
We're going to start wrapping up, and we're going to talk about the present, right? So I've said this to a few riders, even though we've had a disrupted year, it's been a pretty eventful year for riders like yourself. You know, your first nationals in 19s at Ballarat, and you know, good performances, and then you keep racing. What was your last road race before lockdown?
I'm trying to think. The last one that I remember was the last like big result that I had was Super Crit. That's the last one I can think of. Yeah, I think it was just like Super Crit and crits, just local crits until they got called off.
How incredible was Super
Yeah.
Crit? Did you surprise yourself?
Yes and no, because I did do it the year before, and I got sixth the year before. I thought I got fifth, and I was so excited because they did the podium to fifth. And I thought I got fifth, and I've come around, and I'm like, Dad, I got fifth, and he's like, I don't think you did. And then looked at the photo, and I don't remember who it was, but someone picked me on the line by like that much. But yeah, so I knew that I could be up there. And I knew going into it that I had improved quite a bit from the year before. And also the fact that I've ridden St Kilda Crit, I've ridden that course, I've done like thousands of laps. So if there's any place where I'm going to do well, it's going to be there.
Oh, but your crit form's been really good too, even at Drake. You're really good crit form. To be honest, you're probably one of the best crit riders going around over the last season in all grades. I'm not sure how you've gone at the teardrop, but I think you've gone right there too when you've raced. So
yeah, I think I've won a few times, but yeah, it's always a tough one there because the break always goes, but it doesn't always win. But sometimes it does, and sometimes a lot of the time when it doesn't win, it's a time when you thought it would have. And I guess everyone just writes it off and go, oh, like that's going to win. Or they might go, oh, we're going to win. Look at us. We've got 5 of the strongest guys in the breakaway. That, I don't know. It's a very hard one to pick.
Yeah.
Because time, you can get a gap very quickly and it can be brought back very quickly there.
It's brutal. It's a brutal course. You know, if it's on and there are no breaks, sometimes you wish there is a break, you're in it, and everyone else just gives up and you can stay away. But if everyone's together for half the race or longer, it really hurts. The whole thing hurts because there's this rubber band effect. You're at the back. You're struggling for position. But being a good crit rider is essential, isn't it? Particularly when you go back to Belgium and you do those Kermesse style races, etc. That are, you know, a bit longer, obviously, and the courses aren't the same. But you've got crosswinds and you've got to get positioning and all that sort of thing. You know, here I am talking as if I've got the experience. I don't, but that's clearly something that you learn by just practicing and doing more of.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely helped me in all aspects, and I guess my track helped my crits as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because just that close riding and just I don't know, that killer instinct, I guess.
Got to make a decision on the track, don't you? You got to make a decision.
You can't. If you think about what you're doing, you're not going to make it quick enough.
Yep.
You're not going to make the decision quick enough. It has to be instant.
One day, when you're a parent of a child on a track bike and you're at Bendigo or somewhere like that, watching a Madison or watching a race, and you'll know exactly how your parents felt when you squeezed through that little gap that was not meant to happen, and digging the fingers into someone's thighs just in screaming. I mean, my cousin Connie, Vanessa's mum, has done that a few times with Nathan. It's a lot of fun to watch, but at the time it's a bit stressful. But
Yeah.
it's all part of the learning. So you're in this position now where you've had this start. Your crit form's been pretty good. It comes to an abrupt end. You're on a program which has given you the ability to focus on certain things. You're not quite as active in the Zwift racing scene in the NRS, but some riders are doing everything. You're not quite so into the racing side. What exactly is your routine at the moment?
Yeah. So at the moment, I guess as a way to try and keep our motivation, we're doing testing. Like with the VIS, we are doing power testing every month or so. So we're doing very specific and very strategic training sessions throughout that. So at the moment, I'm doing like 3 hard days a week, and then 1 rest day and 3 easier days. But all the efforts and stuff that I'm doing is very specific. So I haven't had the freedom to do as many races as I might like to. But yeah, so I generally get to squeeze in 1 race a week. So with the NRS races every fortnight on the Saturday, and now coming in with the NJRS races every opposite week on a Sunday. So I'll be able to do those, but I haven't really been able to do like the chop and the other races like that.
You have managed to join the Brunswick meetup every now and then.
Yep.
One night turning up on a mountain bike just to make us all feel really inferior. Thanks for that. So Subaru Giant, it's a team that obviously, having Bill and Blake and riders like that in there. Graham, Blake's not my correction,
Yeah.
but Graham, Bill, and then racing against mates like Sam and Paddy and Blake, etc. You can be arrogant by saying I expected to be in a team, and I think you did, and you should have. But just the fact that you got into a team, such a good team, it must have been very pleasing for you.
Yeah. So I was trying to, I guess last year when I was racing with Van Dam, so I was in there with Blake at that time. And that was great. Van Dam did so much for us. I know for me, especially just developing as a rider, like NRS, you come out of juniors and that is what you want to do. It's the big thing. Not many people really get an opportunity to. But so managed to score a ride with them last year. And it really helped me develop really quickly, I feel, because nothing really prepares you for the NRS. I guess you just have to be thrown in the deep end at that stage, and it's great. It's so much fun. You learn to love it very quickly. But yeah, so Van Dam really helped me develop at that stage, and then I moved across to Subaru Giant this year, and coincidentally, so did Graham and Bill. So that actually wasn't a planned thing. We didn't know each other were trying to get into that team at the same time. But then we just found out once we'd all gotten put in the team that we're all in the same team. So that was really cool. But yeah, I feel having those people in there that you know and you've ridden with for quite a long time will definitely help. And it definitely does. Like we've worked together in a couple races, and it's a lot easier to mesh with people that you know properly and that you have known for a while. But yeah, the team, we've got such a good team culture at the moment, and that's something I'm really loving about the team. Yeah, it's great.
Think about the way this has been set up. You talked about NJTS before, and you talked about Cam, right? So one of Cam's big theories, or one of the things he loves to promote, is that you go to NJTS as independently as you can. You learn to fend for yourself. Then you go to Belgium on your own. You've rehabilitated from injury. You've had support doing that, but a lot of it's your own focus. And then you're thrown into the deep end. I mean, to me, a lot of this starts with NJTS, or that sort of set up, because it does teach you that independence, that teamwork. You get to know riders from all over the country, as well as the ones from your own state. And you're moving along together. I still feel there's a gap between 17s and 19s that can be addressed a little bit more. But because there was some photos we put up, riders that no longer ride, etc. Perhaps we could have kept those in the system if it wasn't the way it is. But generally speaking, I think those that would be watching this and raced 20 years ago wouldn't have had those opportunities that are presented now. Yes, there's a lot we can improve in the sport, but I think NJTS really needs to be called out for being something that's really helped keep riders in and prepare them for what you just said. You agree?
Yeah, 100%. Like, we're really lucky to have had NJTS coming through the ranks and through the age groups. Yeah, I think that was really the first taste of national level racing that you get. And the whole thing is, you don't need to be in the state team. You don't need to be some amazing rider. All you need to do is just be in your club, be like, hey, I think I'm pretty good. I want to race NJTS. Can I go in the team? And unless you're in a team that is, unless you're in a club that is a very full team, I think it'd be very likely to be able to at least get one ride. But it's definitely, I feel like it's those challenges that you need to meet and you need to face head on. And that's what really makes each person who they are. With, like, as a person, it changes you. As Cam always says, becoming more independent, and how you deal with the pressure and how you deal with, I guess, the challenges. So you're not going to go there and win every race unless you're Graham Frisley and top 8 under 15s, really. I mean...
Yeah, well, there's always the exception who's good at everything. But, I mean, you had some great battles yourself in the top age in JTS. So it was riveting stuff. And I got to call some of those races when I got called in, as you do, at the last minute to commentate. But that was a lot of fun. Hey, Henry, you mentioned Graham, sorry. You've been a delight to interview. We could, there's the cliche, we could talk forever. I don't want to, but I do want to finish with one photo. I'm a bit curious about this one, and I think we need to address it. I'll let you sign off, but I just want to put this one up first. So this is from the Subaru Giant website. Now, next to you on that photo, Graham, there's a photo of Graham, and above you there's a photo of Bill and all the riders around. Now, we've got you into doing the Brunswick sign. We've got you into creating the new Brunswick hoodie. Should we speak to Subaru Giant about actually designing something for you so that you can move away from this silhouette? And why is it missing? Why is your photo missing? We need an investigation into this.
The actual reason is so they were taken at Nationals. So the team were all staying at the same place at Nationals, and I had come down with a mild pneumonia at that stage. So Nationals was off the table, and it was viral. So I wasn't going to go anywhere near the team. So I missed out on the photo shoot. But
and we've had no chance to address it, obviously. So I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I'm with you. Okay, I'm going to let you close it off. I'm going to put this photo up as the closing one because I love it so much, and you spoke about it with great affection too. You've spoken very well today. I really do appreciate it. It's going to be an interview that people will love to watch. It's a bit long, but we kind of both don't mind a chat, so that's okay.
Yeah.
I have been asking riders to sign off, so please, I'll hand it over to you. You finish this off, mate. It's all yours.
All right. thanks for listening, guys. It's been a pleasure to have this interview with Ag. Really helpful guy around the club. The president, he makes stuff happen around the club, and he since he's been in charge, really, he has had a very good impact on the club. But yeah, thanks for listening. It's been a pleasure. Go make sure you're liking Brunswick Cycling Club's Facebook page. Pretty sure it's on there. If it's not, is it anywhere else? Is it just on there?
Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter.
So like up the Facebook page, and yeah, see you later.
Thanks, Henry.